All right, welcome to the show, my man Smitty. We're finally doing this. It's a little
Yeah,
later than expected, but Smitty and Raj, here we are live on Wednesday night. There's a game tomorrow. What's up, Smitty?
yeah, man. I mean, you excited? What are you hearing in camp that's making you excited or worried, or like what's changing over the last like week besides like Sermon maybe being on the roster bubble?
Yeah, I'm excited about everything because I think tomorrow we get to see the starters for a little bit. You get Trey Lance, you get to see Debo and Kittle and Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. So really, I'm just excited because now we get to see some of the starters. It's that dress rehearsal, so we kind of get a taste of what to expect maybe for the first few weeks with Trey Lance and everything. Obviously, I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to throw everything at us, but he's going to give us a little taste. I feel excited about that. And then not only that, you have like I said, Nick Bosa, that's exciting. He's a beast. You got Javon Kinlaw and all these guys. Running back definitely is going to be a battle, and we've been talking about that. I am a little concerned about Trey Sermon. He hasn't really shined, but now you got the first team offensive line, pretty much Trent Williams in there. Now you can see how these running backs run behind, Trent Williams. So I'm excited, man, because after this game, the roster cuts are next week, and then we got a real stuff. Then the real deal comes after that. Then we're cooking, man. So what do you think? Are you excited about tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. I'm looking at all the teams and everything, all the news and everything, and there's so much going on that what I'm really thinking about is like what's going to end up being the reality of like the running back room, because right now it's felt like Sermon's the guy. He's kind of had the edge. You got Zach Wilson in the mix. Well, I don't think that's how it's going to shake out at the end of the day. And since I don't think Mitchell should start week 1, but since I don't think Mitchell's hitting some kind of injury early on, unless that gets worse, I think that if it's Ty Davis Price or it's Jordan Mason, they climb up before they're ever called upon. Hopefully, in my opinion, because I don't, me, I'm not a big fan of Wilson.
Yeah,
He's good, and I think anybody's great in this offense. Like a good player becomes great if they're running behind that offensive line and in that scheme. So like Wilson's good, like he's a good to great player if he's starting for the Niners. Like bottom line, like so I could get behind it if he's the guy. But if you're trying to evaluate who's better, Mason, or Ty Davis Price or Wilson, who's going to give you even more value, I don't think it's Wilson, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I think Ty Davis Price is proven. He's a bowling ball and he's a wrecking ball. He's going to hit you. You're not going to hit him. He's going to hit you.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that's the difference. Like Wilson's going to try and evade you. Ty Davis Price is going to come for you. He's got the ball and he's chasing you down. You know what I mean? Like, and Jordan Mason's got like, I think PFF had him as the highest grade preseason running back. I mean, come on, like these two guys are sticking out like a sore thumb.
yeah,
As
yeah.
being the number 2 and number 3. So that's where my mind's at. Who's going to be the eventual? I'm not really worried about what we see right now, even or what we're hearing right now.
Yeah, and it's preseason, so you got to take things with a grain of salt. And I agree with a lot of what you said. Real quick, I want to get to these comments. What's up, Jonathan? 49er Jeff says this is a make or break game for Sermon. I feel a lot of people are thinking that. Mariah, what's good? She says she's over Wilson. I think a lot of people are. He had the injuries last year, and I know he's a different type of running back. He's a good goal line guy, red zone guy. He could score, from short distances. He was a touchdown guy. But you're right. Mason looks so impressive this offseason and in the preseason. If you cut him, somebody's going to jump all over him and snag him. Unfortunately, you can't cut him. And I think he can build his way into that starting role, with injuries, with Shanahan's offensive system. These guys get hurt. Look what happened. Elijah Mitchell, he played himself into a big role last year. And I think he's running back 1 to start the season. He should be healthy next week, week 1 against the Bears, which Shanahan said. But you can't sit here and guarantee that he's going to stay through the whole season without an injury. I mean, he missed 6 games last year. And again, they went through 7, 8 running backs last year. It's crazy. So, TDP, Mason, those guys are pouncing. They look good. They eventually will probably get big time shares to start the season at some point. You've said it, and I agree with you, Smitty. I think TDP and Mason are bound to have monster games for the Niners at some point, with big carry games, because injuries are inevitable. Unfortunately, I hate to hear it. But I do think this could be a big make or break game for Trey Sermon. I don't think they cut him. A lot of people think that they're going to cut him. He has a third round. He was a third round pick. I think he has a value for trade. But this is kind of interesting because you have all these running backs. You can't just cut them all, but you can't sign them all. And then you got JaMychal Hasty, who I know we don't think he's the greatest in the regular season, but in preseason, Jermichael Hasty goes out and he just shines, man, and he can add catches to the out of the backfield, and he plays special teams too. So Shanahan likes that versatility. It's going to be interesting. I think tomorrow the biggest role, the biggest kind of thing we need to look at as Niner fans is this running back position. Who really makes it? I mean, if he cuts Jeff Wilson, that's crazy to me. I know you're not a big Wilson guy, but he's the veteran, and I feel like you need a veteran in the locker room. But talent wise, he may not be as good as some of these
Oh,
other guys like Mason and TDP.
opening day is what day? 11th?
Yeah, 16 days
So
from tomorrow.
we got a lot of time, bro.
Yeah,
That's a lot. I mean, I know it seems like this is the last preseason game. Is Mitchell going to be healthy? You have literally more than half of a month.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, that's a lot of time. A lot of time for people to get hurt. A lot of time for people to get healthy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's crazy when you think about that. Like, we feel like the season's at the door, but yet it's 16 days away.
Still a little bit. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
It
so
is.
you got time. I mean, to be talking about Mitchell being available or not available, I think if anybody's saying like Darren Waller is questionable for week 1 and the Raiders came out saying we don't feel comfortable committing to him in week 1, that's horrible. When you're 16 days away and you're being talked about like that, that's when you start to worry. But like with Mitchell, I don't get a sense that it's like that where you're like, okay, we're 16 days away and we're not sure if he's ready for week 1.
No,
That's bad.
he'll be ready. He'll be ready.
Yeah.
Again, the thing with Mitchell and a lot of these injuries with the Niners that they had this preseason, they were kind of they happened early enough that they didn't really have to worry. You know, they could have played. They didn't play in the preseason. They held them out. They had these few weeks to kind of recover, and then you got the 16-day cushion to kind of get back into shape and get back to playing for him. So I think it was kind of a if there's any such thing as a good injury, they were good injuries because they happened early enough where it's not really going to affect week 1. And Mitchell should be back. He's going to be the workhorse for now until if he gets hurt again. I hope he doesn't because we know what Mitchell can do in this offense. We saw it. But the problem is, Kyle Shanahan, he's not just going to feed one guy. He's going to rotate. He's going to keep on giving the ball to somebody else. Somebody might have a hot game, like get the hot hand, and then he's going to give that guy carries. He's going to dip in to somebody's carries. And that's the thing with the Niners in terms of fantasy football with running backs. And I know you probably talk about this all the time. You can't really have a 49er as a running back 1 on your fantasy team. It's just hard to predict sometimes, especially if there's an injury. You're like, who the hell is Shanahan going to trust with the ball? And then last year he just gave it to Deebo Samuel, so you can't really trust.
Yeah, but when Mitchell was healthy, it was all Mitchell. So like I don't know that I feel like Shanahan wouldn't feed Mitchell literally as a full, like everyone keeps saying that you rotate, but you only rotate because of injury though. Like when Shanahan starts a guy, he seems to lately anyway start that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't remember, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I can't remember the last time he's literally just in the middle of the game started rotating a really good back with another, like, you know what I mean? So like, do I think Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason together, if they're like handcuffed, like in fantasy, if you handcuff the two of them and you don't even own Mitchell, if you just own both of the two backups, do I think you're going to get 4 or 5 starts? Yeah. But do I think that it'll be unpredictable mid-game? I don't know. I feel like Shanahan, he loved committing to Mitchell last year. When Mitchell was healthy, he was feeding him, rhythm-wise. I don't know. I kind of feel like the rotations because of injury, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know, but I know you're right. No, I agree. Like he really locked into Mitchell, but I think that knowing his injury history last year, I don't think Kyle wants to give him 20 carries because he could be a 20 carry guy. But we've said this before, Smitty. We said that you give 10 to 12 carries for Mitchell, make him that Raheem Mostert role, and he'll thrive in that role. He can get those big runs off, and then that means you still have 10 carries, 12, 15 carries for somebody else, and you can split those between TDP, Mason. And that's what I'm saying. They get a hot hand. So let's say Mitchell has 11 carries in a game. He has a decent game, 80, 90 yards. Let's say he has that. Let's say you give 8, 9 carries to TDP. Let's say he has like 100 carries. You're like, oh, or 100 yards. You're like, oh, what a game. Shanahan's going to see that pattern, and he's going to continue to split those carries. So that's what I'm saying in terms of he's not just going to let one guy get 20 carries. I think that's the way Shanahan rolls. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on, Smitty.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes, how it goes. But Danny Gray, are we feeling like, okay, so a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I said he could be the number 2 wide receiver on the team, laughing. all over the place.
Mm.
Fool, you're a fool, Smitty. You're a moron. Are we? I know you're going to say you still believe Aiyuk's going to break out. And I'm not saying Aiyuk won't, but are we inching a little closer to that being a possibility in your mind? I mean, like Danny Gray, as much as everybody wants to say Aiyuk is this guy, he hasn't become that guy yet. It's not quite his like throne to hold, and I feel like everyone acts like Aiyuk's done more than a 700 and something yard season and an 800 and something yard season. He's never had more than that.
But
he was in the doghouse last year.
Third year.
I know, and remember, I'm the first guy that mentioned Aiyuk's name on the quad box when I came in. It's Arizona State. You guys watch this Go Gadget Arm guy. Like, I'm a big fan of Aiyuk. I'm just saying, is it a hanging offense for me to be a bigger fan of Danny Gray? You know what I mean? That it's a good thing for Niner fans. I'm talking about one of your players, but like people take so offense to me saying Aiyuk. I know he's been building the rapport with Trey, but there's one thing that almost doesn't matter. The one thing that means the most is what Shanahan schemes up. And when Danny Gray puts this team in a position to completely exploit the entire field, and you're going to have Aiyuk possession receiver, him and Debo are going to command a lot of targets, but Aiyuk catching 2 and 3 passes for 80 yards and a touchdown. I'm just saying, at the end of the year, wouldn't be shocked at all if Danny Gray as a rookie did better than Aiyuk did as a rookie, and in turn holds Aiyuk back from being.
So, okay, the way you posed it just now, no, because if Danny Gray, I think he could have a big season, because you're right, there's 17 games. There's going to be days where he has 90 yards, 100 yards off of 2 catches, because he's going to get that big highlight reel play. But I think where the hang up is, where people are sitting, because you're already saying Danny Gray's wide receiver too. Brandon Aiyuk has put in the work. 3 years. He had to go through the doghouse. He had to go through all the trials and tribulations. He came into camp last year thinking he was top shit, and Shanahan basically said, no, you're not. Do better. We want you to be working harder. And he came in with a different mentality. Now he's a young leader, Shanahan said. So I think with all the work that Aiyuk's done, it's going to set him up for success. And again, also Brandon Aiyuk and Trey Lance have this dynamic chemistry. Like, I'm thinking Gray's going to be good. Like, we've seen it. We've seen it these last couple of weeks. It's preseason, though. It's not the regular season. And the way Shanahan needs his receivers to be, it's different than anybody else in the league. Like, you have to be violent. You have to come into practice. Like, you have to earn your reps. I know he's going to be open, but you have to earn respect from Kyle. And Aiyuk, he saw it firsthand. I think that Gray's going to be great, and I think he has potential to maybe have a better rookie season than Aiyuk, which would be incredible, because Aiyuk's rookie season was pretty good in Niner terms. But I do see that Gray could be a solid wide receiver for 3 for this team, and then eventually, yeah, he might be wide receiver 2. But you still got to factor in that Aiyuk has a lot of adversity he's fought, and I think this is the year 3. Usually these guys break into this like superstar mold, and I think that's where Aiyuk's headed. And then you got to factor in Debo. You still got Debo, and he's going to get a lot of carries.
I think part of my argument is there's going to be unknown injuries that creep up because of the style of scheme, and everything leads to injuries. You guys are always banged up, and I don't wish injury upon Debo. Obviously, I love Debo, but Debo did run up the gut a little too much for anyone's liking last year. We don't mind him playing, wide back. That's as a wide receiver, getting hit by cornerbacks half the time. Wide back's fine, but he played running back. Aiyuk lived in the doghouse last year, and I know he had a good offseason. Everybody says he's been the star of the offseason. All I'm saying is that if you ask me who has more talent, it's Danny Gray. And I understand it's going to piss off a lot of Aiyuk fans. This is your player. I'm talking about a fellow Niner player, so people need to get excited about that, because in no way, shape, or form am I saying Aiyuk is lesser than anybody thought. In no way am I saying Aiyuk is not as good as I predicted him to be before he even landed on the 49ers roster. I'm just telling you, you have a diamond in the rough in Danny Gray, and he is better than Aiyuk physically. He's faster. He's quicker. He's more elusive. All those things are obvious right there. But he's also going to be super and ultra reliable, and he's building rapport the same speed as Aiyuk is, in a sense, because and I know Aiyuk's been the star camp, but this is a short window of time that he's matured and done well. I'm telling you right now, Aiyuk is a better player than Danny Gray's a better player than Aiyuk.
You just went spicy there, Smitty. I love Danny Gray. He's a great rookie. He's going to be a solid player, but better than Aiyuk right now. 3 years.
No, I say he's a better player. I say he's a better player. I didn't say he was as far along, but he can get there quickly. He can get there quickly. I'm saying he could catch up in a heartbeat. I'm saying he's a better player. He's a better player.
And Brandon Aiyuk, 3 years. This is 3rd year in the NFL.
Yeah, what's he done? What's he done? Though, Raj, what's he done? What's he done? 700 yards, 800 yards. What has Aiyuk done?
But it's more than that. You don't see the intangibles, the downfield blocking. Like the second half of the season, Aiyuk was a big part of that success. The game winner against the Bengals, like he came in clutch situations. And again, his quarterback last year, we didn't even get to this point. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't know how to use Brandon Aiyuk. He didn't know how to use Brandon Aiyuk. Now you have a guy that knows his skill set and has a beautiful chemistry with him. Come on, man. I didn't say Trey Lance. I didn't see Trey Lance and Danny Gray making s'mores this offseason.
Everybody, including you, got on my case about how high I was on Trey Lance too early. It's too early to call him king of the NFC. It's too early. Look where everybody is now, Raj. Everybody and their mother loves Trey Lance to the degree I started talking about it before you could ever see it or see what's going on. Like, I get it. It's not popular. But I'm telling you right now, Aiyuk has done nothing but have an impressive offseason. And he has, I admit it. Done nothing to have this like home run, like can't believe you'd even say that attitude toward that statement when Danny Gray has looked phenomenal himself. And I'm telling you, he's a better wide receiver. I'm not saying he's caught up and up to speed as much as Aiyuk is because Aiyuk has been in the system longer. I'm saying once he catches up, watch out. Watch out. Because he's going to make play after play after play. You're not going to be able to keep him off the field. Or I'll be yelling about Shanahan dropping the ball.
Smitty, I love you, but that's a pretty bold take to say that.
It's always bold until it happens, Raj. It's always uncomfortable.
Gray done right now. He had a deep pass or a beautiful deep play in preseason. Oh my God, everybody was bricked up. I get it. It was an amazing play. But he hasn't done anything really in the league. Come on, Smitty. I know he's great and he could be.
I'm not here to talk about what's been proven already. I'm here to talk about what's down the road. And I'm telling you, Danny Gray is a better receiver than Aiyuk. And it's gonna be like putting. It's always the same. It's always the same thing with my bold predictions, my crazy takes. You put a frog in boiling water. It's lukewarm water. You turn it on high. He slowly gets used to it. You guys are slowly going to jump on board, and you're going to act like you didn't have the stance at the midseason. You're going to go, always like Danny Gray. It was.
But I'm not saying I don't like Danny Gray. I just don't think.
But how is it so shocking? How is it so shocking that he's better than a 700 and 800 yard wide receiver? How is it that shocking? Because what you're saying, what you're doing by saying that Aiyuk is so much better than Danny Gray is you're predicting what's going to happen this year, the same that I'm predicting of Danny Gray. You have nothing in the past that suggests what you're saying is some locked in stance. You're going off of projecting the same way I am because you have an 700 and 800 yard season out of Aiyuk. There's nothing that you can say that's like, oh,
system for longer. He has the chemistry with Trey. Like there's just so many other intangibles. Danny Gray, like even. It's one thing that Brandon Aiyuk said in his press conference, I think a week or so ago or 2 weeks ago. He goes, I'm just happy that Danny Gray's here because Danny Gray's always complaining that, oh, man, Shanahan's on my ass, basically. And Brandon Ayuk's basically saying, like, it's good that, Danny Gray's here so Shanahan has somebody else to complain at. Danny Gray's realizing what it takes to be in the 49ers wide receiver room. Like, it's not easy to be in Shanahan's room of wide receiver. He was a wide receiver himself. He's a perfectionist. Again, like he talked about how you have to be so violent on the top of your route. Like you have to be perfect. You have to be crisp. And you have to show him that in practice. Like, yes, he's had some nice plays. He has big catchability. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't put in the work. We haven't seen him do those downfield. You have to earn that ability to get big snaps and big reps from Kyle Shanahan. I'm telling you, I think Danny Gray could be great, but he's not going to be better than Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk so far ahead of the guy, And I think this is the
But
season where
but
he breaks into a
but
super.
keep in mind what
Hold
I'm
up.
keep in
He's
mind what I'm
even
saying.
his body. He's transformed his body. He's like so much stronger. Like to beat press man coverage, to beat a cornerback. Like come on. Danny Gray, we've seen him beat third string cornerbacks. Is he going to be able to beat first string quarterback, second string quarter? Eventually, they got to wisen up and put a big guy in rotate. I know you're going to
No
say,
no one no
I
one's
know you're going
able.
to say they're going to move him around the field like they do in Cooper Cup, but they're going to put someone on Danny Gray that can cover his ass. This is the NFL. It's the big leagues. A rookie being better than a third-year receiver that's crazy. On the same system.
What do you mean a rookie? Look at the rookies these days. It doesn't mean anything. Being a rookie doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't. It used to be like in the Larry Fitzgerald days. You couldn't do more than 800, 900 yards as a rookie. That was it. 800 yards, 4 TDs. That was the best rookie season you were going to ever see out of a rookie.
We got to
Doesn't
make a
matter.
bet, Smitty.
That
We got
doesn't
to
hold
make a
you.
bet. I smell a bet.
Being a rookie doesn't hold you back like it used to. Now, Shanahan could hold it. And keep in context what I'm saying. I'm not saying out the gate.
In this system, in the same
I'm not,
system.
and I'm not saying out the gate this is going to happen. I'm saying he is a better wide receiver, in my opinion. He's the better player, and eventually he will take over as the number 2 wide receiver on the team.
Man.
And that could be through injuries and a lot of things too, because there's a lot of opportunity I think that's going to open up for him, and then people are going to say, "Oh, you got lucky," no, this is a system that often your wide receivers, your running back room, you're always banged up. You're always banged up. I don't know what it is. You've even said there's no stretching that goes on. You're not sure. Yeah, you're not sure what it is, but you guys are always banged up.
Dude,
and opportunity is going to be there.
They stretched for like 2 minutes. I was like, that's it. And then they'd go run their installments and do all this. Like, I didn't even see them stretch, maybe for like 2 minutes. Literally, they didn't stretch at all. I think the whole time I was there, maybe a combined 5 minutes of stretching. It was kind of sad to see. And I think that's why
that's not good. Someone you need to send an email, Raj. You need to send a text to somebody.
I need to call him. I need to call Lynch, man.
Hey, I got to jump, but I appreciate you having me on. And look, I remember having these kind of heated debates when I started talking about Trey Lance at one point. So I don't, I'm used to it, and I know that it's uncomfortable. But like I always say, Raj, it's uncomfortable until it happens.
Smitty, it's always fun. I know you got to do your stream. You got a late night stream yourself, but I appreciate you hopping on. We're gonna do this every Wednesday, like we said. Today was a little later than we thought, but hey, better late than never. What I want to do is I want to make a bet. Next time we chop it up, I need to make a bet with you. Aiyuk, Danny Gray, some type of bet. We
got to figure out the context of it too. Because I've said, everyone keeps taking what I'm saying out of context too. Of course, it's not happening in week 1. He's taken over eventually, but how do you even quantify that? How do you make a bet on that concept anyway?
Maybe
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll make a bet. But appreciate you. You gonna go stream your show?
Yeah, I'll be live in a little bit.
All right, I'll probably hop on after this. I'm gonna stay live for another 15 minutes. All
right, later, guys. Appreciate you.
Take care, my man. Take care, Smitty. Go follow the man. Go follow Smitty, the fantasy football show. That man is something else. He always has big takes, but sometimes he's right. Tonight, and he's been saying this a lot, that Danny Gray is gonna pass up Aiyuk on the depth chart. It's crazy to me, but hey, a lot of times he comes up with some takes, and we're like, holy crap, Smitty was right. So I don't know if this is a common Smitty L or a common Smitty dub. We'll see. I'm going to go through these comments that we didn't get to yet. So appreciate you guys for being in. It's a little later than expected, but again, better late than never, and it's content, and we talking about the Niners. So what's up, everybody? I hope you guys had a good day. Hit that like button. That was a very heated debate. That was a good. If you guys tuned in, you guys came at the right time. That was fun. Let's see. Let me get to some of these comments, man. I missed a lot, so sorry about that. We got the Sad Niner fans says late night stream, of course. Marco says, when are captains announced? Do you think the team will make Trey Lance one? I think the captains are usually announced a week before the first week. I don't think Trey Lance will be named a captain. He's young. This is his first year as starting quarterback. I think he's going to make him earn it. I think Kyle's going to make him earn it. I think eventually he'll be a captain, but I don't think he'll be captain right away. You got players, the veterans is usually Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Trent Williams. You got, Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward, Arik Armstead. Those are guys that are probably going to be captains, maybe Robbie Gould. So 49er Jeff earlier said when we were talking about running backs that nobody's factoring Debo's load at running back. I know he's going to get some carries. because he got the incentives in his contract, but he's probably going to take outside runs, reverse plays and things like that. But he is going to have some carries that split into the running game. So let's see. Some people were asking about, Jimmy Robinson asked about McGlinchey and his knee. So did Ty. They both said, is McGlinchey, he heard that McGlinchey isn't looking good with the knee. Who gets that spot? So right now, as of now, that's a good question. I want to bring up McGlinchey. We've talked about this. Right now, it seems that Colton McKivitz is taking that right tackle spot. He got cut last year, and he must have used it as fire to his fuel or fuel to his fire, and he's gonna be starting right now for Mike McGlinchey until he comes back. But again, I've talked about McGlinchey's injury, and I don't know, man. I just don't feel good about it. I really don't, because he had a quad tear last year, and he's trying to rehab it, and he's been grinding, trying to get back, but he's already got some knee irritation. I know he's got the PRP procedure done, and that takes about 4 weeks. So I don't know. I just don't feel too good about McGlinchey's knee, man. I really don't. I feel that McGlinchey is going to have some setbacks this year. Colton McKivitz has that spot right now. Jalen Moore's back this week. He came back. I don't know how healthy he is. He had a lower leg injury himself. So you have Jalen Moore and Colton McKivitz. Worst case scenario, they can throw Dan Brunskill, who can play every spot on this damn line, out there at right tackle if need be. So there definitely is some things to keep an eye on this right tackle spot. But for now, I don't think McGlinchey's coming back week one. It didn't sound too good when Shanahan was talking about him today. He goes, yeah, we're going to test it out next week and see if he's okay. And then they gave him some time off. It just didn't seem too good. It just didn't seem too good when they were talking about Mike McGlinchey and his knee. So definitely keep an eye on that. Definitely keep an eye on that. Let's see. What do you guys think about the whole Danny Gray Aiyuk situation with Smitty brought up? That was wild to me. Oh man, Smitty came with some heat tonight. I still think Aiyuk's going to have a monster season. I think Danny Gray can have a good year. I think he can have a solid year, third receiver. I think he could continue to move up the rankings. I don't think he's going to be better than Brandon Aiyuk this year, but hey, I can't wait to bring Smitty on, and we're going to keep talking about it all year. We're going to talk about this all year. Again, every Wednesday we're going to do live show with Smitty, and we've got some good context now to talk about with Smitty. I definitely need to get him on a bet. Oh, man. Oh, it was good tough. Y'all, I'm looking at the comments. Man, oh, man. That was fun. That was funny. You guys had some good comments. Oh, man. Let's see. Lay off the weed, Smitty. That is funny. Oh, this is a good question. I want to get to this one. Arvin said, would Juwan Jennings be a surprise roster cut? He says, from the preseason alone, it doesn't look like Juwan is. It looks like Juwan is behind Gray and Ray. Wow, I don't think that he gets cut. That would definitely be a surprise to me, Arvin. I don't think that Juwan Jennings gets cut. He's definitely struggling. And Kyle Shanahan talked about how he's kind of a late riser. He's one of those guys that just doesn't, get a good start. And we've seen that. But you have to kind of fix your issues. And he's had a lot of drops. He just hasn't looked the part this offseason. And it's been frustrating. Preseason kind of took what he was doing in training camp, dropping passes and not really holding on to the ball. But I think a lot of it's mental. A lot of it's mental. Like we talked about earlier with Brandon Aiyuk. Last year he came in, he expected to be great. And I think mentally it got to him, and he just wasn't where he was. And again, Shanahan expects a lot out of these wide receivers. And I think Juwan Jennings is now seeing year two, technically year three, but his second year healthy on the roster. His first year he missed with the hamstring injury. It's tough to be in Shanahan's roster, and be a wide receiver. After a while, you have to really kind of push yourself and show that you're better and stronger, and you're working even better and harder. Like it's crazy. What he said about Aiyuk is, we expected more. Like he was good, but he wasn't good enough. And I think Juwan Jennings is hitting that wall, and mentally it must be getting to him, because you dropping passes like that where he wasn't dropping passes last year. It's all mental to me. I feel that's what the case is, but I don't think he's going to get cut. I definitely don't think that Juwan Jennings is going to get cut. but I can see someone passing him up on the roster. Maybe Ray McLeod, maybe Danny Gray. Those guys can kind of steal his role if he continues to struggle. So definitely he needs to sure his hands up and kind of do better because he's struggled overall. But I'm hoping that he cleans it up because man, oh man, Juwan Jennings, he looked like he was about to be a big breakout candidate. He had 5 touchdowns last year, and everybody's excited about Jennings this year because he came in that second half and he was really one of the big unsung heroes. Second half, he had a lot of nice little red zone touchdowns. So we're hoping that he could be that big red zone target, that big, tall, chain mover, third down guy, get you those first downs. But you got to hold on to the ball, So unfortunately, he's been dropping them. Let's see. I think that's pretty much most of the questions there. How are we doing tonight? I got a couple more questions to get to. So answer some questions, drop some questions. I'll answer them. We got a big game tomorrow. I'm excited. The starters play tomorrow for the first half. What I want you to do at the end of this YouTube live, put the score in the comments. I want you guys to put the score in the comments. If you guess the score correctly, I'm going to shout you out the next live the next day. So please put the score in the comments. I want you guys to interact and get some hype. If one of you guys gets the correct score, then we'll drop your name up on the live and you guys can feel good about yourself and pat yourself in the back. So, just drop the score in the comments when it's posted on the live. I think that's something cool to do. That way you can hear your name out live. So, let's see. No more questions here. I think that's it. I think we're good. I don't see any more questions. Smitty is Smitty. That was fun times with Smitty. He had to dip. I'm going to go check him out on his show. Appreciate you guys tuning in for a little heated debate. That was fun. That was fun tonight. Catch us next Wednesday and every Wednesday moving forward. Smitty and Raj, we're going to be doing this every week. We're also going to be doing the quad box every Friday. We're bringing it back this season. So a couple more weeks. We're still fixing the fine. We're still fixing the edges here. But C-Mac and Vlad will finally be back. And the quad box returns this year. I'm excited because we've missed them. I've missed those guys. Me and Smitty been talking a lot this offseason. But I know C-Mac's had some issues. And Vlad, he's been so busy. They really haven't had time. But we're going to make time on Fridays. The quad box returns. It's going to be a triumphant return. I can't wait. So you guys have a good night. Hit that like button. Subscribe. You know the vibes. Tell your friends. Tell your family that we're live on the YouTube channel every day. And the quad box is coming back. I love you guys. Have a good night. Get some rest. Game day tomorrow. Appreciate y'all.